here he's wanting to retire in a year, and he thought, well, I'll just sell it to these other three guys, and the other three guys are like, no, we're wanting to retire too. And so with who's going to take over the company, and that's just kind of like often the end result. But your company is only going to grow to the ability of its leaders, and so it's crazy how few leaders take enough time to develop leaders, and then they put all this pressure on themselves to grow the company themselves or run it all themselves.
Yeah, that's well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Leading with Audacious Confidence. My guest today, I'm so excited because we met just recently on LinkedIn and just struck up a really good rapport right away. She is an amazing leadership coach that I want to share with you. So let me tell you a little bit about Miss Kitty Barrow. Kitty is the OG of Southwestern coaching, and her sales records went unbroken for 7 straight years. Kitty personally manages one of the top Southwestern coaching sales teams worldwide. Wow. Additionally, she is a part of the leadership team that has grown Southwestern coaching 64% compounded growth for the last 9 years. That's a huge accomplishment there. She is not only a practitioner of everything she teaches, she is passionate about sharing the secrets of top producing salespeople with you. Additionally, Kitty is a graduate of Auburn University and a happily married mother of 2 beautiful daughters. Today, Kitty will be with us, and we're going to share all about leading with audacious confidence. So welcome to the show, Kitty. I need an applause track, I need
Thank you.
wow. You have some impressive numbers in your bio in your ability to lead sales teams and be a great salesperson. Where do you think the confidence to do that came from?
Yeah, that's so funny. That's the first question you ask, because as you say these things, I'm almost like, who is that person? I think
I feel
all of
the
us kind
same
of have
way.
that imposter syndrome. Was that me? I mean, if I think about it, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know how I would do. But I guess one of the things we talk about at Southwestern Coaching is a thing called unconditional confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And because a lot of people operate in either false confidence, and we have to have some false confidence, right? Some fake it till you make it
Fake it till you
type
make it kind of
confidence,
thing. Yeah,
like
yeah.
Grandma always said. But most of us kind of operate in that conditional confidence arena, where, like, if I'm getting great results, then I'm proud of myself. But if I'm getting great results, then I don't have confidence. And so
Right.
one of the things we teach is unconditional confidence is taking pride in the things that you can control: your attitude, your activity, your work ethic.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if I was somebody had told me 10 years ago, you're going to accomplish all this, I would have been like,
Yeah, it would feel overwhelming, right?
yes, very overwhelming. But it's that one day at a time of taking the next right step, and consistently, and then boom,
Yeah,
you did it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So what is your sort of leadership philosophy around, your philosophy around leadership?
Um, well, we say a thing like, you can't will not go, you can't teach what you do not know. And so we're very much, believers in leadership by example.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the first part. However, that's just kind of the start of leadership. But also, we've got to reach down and help people up, and teach them the things they don't know, or the things that we had to learn to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I mean, that's what leadership is the next people who can basically take your place.
Right. Training up the next leaders. And it's surprising that not everybody has that concept of leadership.
No, unfortunately, um, yeah, you see it all too often that, I mean, a lot of leaders that I work with, they think, well, I'm great and I knew how to do it, they actually know how to do it.
Hmm.
And, or they, the ones I don't run into as much, because they're usually not even open-minded about the idea of coaching, is
Yeah.
that they don't want anybody to know what they know, because then their importance
Threatened.
was
Yeah.
threatened. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Mhm.
And I think we're moving into a new era where people are becoming more open to understanding what great leadership looks like and
Yes.
have a desire to jump into that instead of just um, what was done before.
Yeah.
So that's great that people
Yeah.
are open. I had a conversation earlier today with someone, and he was even saying, I always thought all this coaching stuff was not necessary and it was just a bunch of hype. But then when he started actually getting coached, he realized, oh wow, and now he's a coach.
Oh,
so,
okay.
so
Yes.
he
Yeah.
said, I drank the Kool-Aid. I drank the Kool-Aid.
Mhm.
Like,
Yes. We can't see the forest for our trees.
right. So do you feel like coaching and having a coach is an essential part of leadership?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you ask any great leader from, Steve Jobs to, I mean, any great athlete, they all have coaches. Like
Yeah.
we can't see the picture when we're in the frame, and really being coachable doesn't mean you don't know what to do. It just means that humans are the world's worst at being able to diagnose what it is that we need to
Hmm.
do to be better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I
we
was thinking,
can. Les Brown always talks about you can't read the label from inside the jar.
yes, yes, exactly, exactly. When I was talking about this, when I was teaching a leadership workshop last week, that if we mess up, then we messed up and we have a good excuse and a reason. But if someone else messes us up, then we think it's a flaw.
Right.
And just little things like that we don't realize about ourselves. I mean, how are you going to if you're not reaching outside of yourself?
Exactly. I just want to say something for those of you who are listening and not watching us is that Kitty showed up in my brand colors. She said in honor of me. So I am so excited that she chose to
Oh,
wear red today. I'm in gold. So, my brand colors are red and gold and she showed up in red. Woohoo. I think my
yeah,
guests are getting some kind of a silent memo or something because they're all showing up in
yes.
red for me. I
I
love
got
it.
my motivational sign behind me.
You got
Right, you
this.
got this.
Yeah. So what do you think makes a good confidence sales person and then a leader in sales, like a leader of a sales team?
Um, that's funny. That was exactly what I was covering at the leadership workshop I was doing last week. B- so often as leaders, we are recognizing salespeople for their sales numbers, for their end results. And so then if we're not measuring and recognizing the steps that it takes to get that end result, then people have a lot of pressure on them. That's when people start
Wow.
lying and, fudging numbers or whatever to get
Because all
the
you're
other end.
interested in is the result. Wow. I
Exactly.
never even thought about that.
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
That's
gotta
huge.
not only know here's the results, but what's it gonna take to get there. It's amazing. Like we've coached like 15,000 people, probably half of them at least are salespeople.
Mhm.
And ask them for about their metrics. What are your metrics? Like how many referrals do you need? How many phone calls do you need make to somebody? How many reaches do you need to talk to somebody? To just sit down with somebody? How many people do you need to sit down with to make a sale? Which is the
Mhm.
essential, basics, critical success factors. and they don't know. They don't know. They have no,
They
they can't
don't
even
record
guess.
the metrics. They don't have their analytics. Mm-hmm.
And my daughter plays soccer, college and soccer, right? And so they are all the time tracking, how many shots, how many this, how many on goal, how many
Yeah.
off goal. Like, and so many people know like their fantasy football numbers.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
they don't even know their metrics.
Their metrics. And wow,
Crazy.
that is so huge. In predictive index, one of the things that we do talk about a lot is data and analytics. And how do you measure success if you don't know the data and you're not looking at the analytics? And so we kind of correlate predictive index and the tools that we use to like moneyballing your business. Like, let's look at how sports teams collect players. How do they gather a team together? They look at the analytics, they look at all those factors. And then there's that X factor that is within the brain science that we look at too. So
Yeah.
I love that that's the point of view that you coach from with sales teams, is that let's look at your numbers, not just your end result numbers,
Yeah.
because there are things to celebrate in between that and encourage people and
Yeah.
help them along the way. So that was a big aha for me even right now, as you said that, because I do hear a lot of sales teams always talking about when they talk about their numbers, they talk about their end result numbers. They don't talk about all the stuff that's happening in the middle.
Right. Yep. Always, always.
Yeah.
And there's
So
much pressure.
So how then do you take a leader that's just looking at the numbers, the final numbers, and walk them back to help their team sort of start this process?
Yeah, there's the fun part because they haven't been measuring it. And
Mm-hmm.
so you educated guesses on what it's going to take. We can ask people to go back through their calendars and
Mm-hmm.
just mark, how many meetings have over the months, even when were they, if you want to go into some time management stuff. But and then at those meetings held, how many of them closed, and then we, kind of have to guesstimate on the number of phone calls and
Mm-hmm.
referrals, because nobody's ever tracking referrals. It's crazy.
Right.
I don't know why in this day and age people are still cold calling. Not that it doesn't work, but why?
But why? Right.
Why would I ever want to do that? Um, so, and also you can work with a leader on if they have a sales goal. And oftentimes they are trying to get more and more out of their people, and their people aren't producing. They put all this pressure on them. But if
Mm-hmm.
they break it down to, if I want to hit this sales goal and my average salesperson is going to sell this much, and it's amazing how, like, I'm doing these workshop customization calls all the time with leaders, and I'm like, well, how much does the average person sell, like per year or per month, or how much does the average person make? Their answer always is, well, they're not really an average. I'm like, okay, I do take math. There's always an average.
You got to get your
But
top and you got to get your bottom, and then we find the middle.
yes, the average, yes. And so if we can figure out what's the average person the sales team sell, and let's say when we have 10 salespeople and the average person sells 100,000, then we're going to have $1 million in sales. But we've been trying to push them to do 2 million.
Mm-hmm. But you don't even know what they're capable of, really,
Yes.
realistically.
Well, then so then either you need to hire 10 more people or figure out how you can bring the averages up. And that's usually why they bring us in, is because we're really good at getting averages up.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if you're having a sales team and you have some big audacious goals that you don't know how you're going to get there, give Kitty a call, right? Make sure
Yeah,
you,
exactly.
yeah, to help get your sales team average up, so you can hit
Yeah.
those sales goals. So how do you see, or what are some of the common mistakes that you see leaders make in when you step in?
Oh, so many, so little time. Um, I guess
Give me
the
like the
biggest,
biggest one that you see have it happening over and over and over again.
they get they get so busy, caught up in their own world of either they're selling and they're running a business, or they're just running the business, and people seem to be fine. And except putting out little fires. And then comes the time for them to maybe step away. Maybe they want to take a month's vacation or even a week, and they can't, or they want to retire. This one large construction company in Indiana, and was assigned to coach the owner. Very successful man, has his own private plane, but like every other builder, every other leader, he and the other three leaders who've been there, 20 years, they grew the company. They never took the time to teach anyone what exactly it is that they do. Thank goodness none of them have tag. Like, here he's wanting to retire in a year, and he thought, well, I'll just sell it to these other three guys, and the other three guys are like, no, we're wanting to retire too. And so, with who's going to take over the company, and that's just kind of like often the end result. But your company is only going to grow to the ability of its leaders, and so it's crazy how few leaders take enough time to develop leaders, and then they put all this pressure on themselves to grow the company themselves or run it all themselves.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, that is so huge that there's some people that hold so close to the vest their own vision of the company and feel like they have the responsibility to grow it instead of giving other people ownership of the vision too, and allowing them to grow their vision, because sometimes it can grow even beyond what you can see.
Oh, so
I mean,
much
not even sometimes, most times, if you allow other
every
people
time.
in, it can grow beyond what you can even imagine for yourself, and allow your company to really explode. And I kind of imagine that was Jeff Bezos' story. I'd love to interview him one day, that
Yeah.
allowing other people to speak into your vision and then take ownership of that part of your vision and say, let's make it bigger. Let's
Yeah.
make it bigger and keep making it bigger. I
Yes,
kind of call it the Henry Ford syndrome. 'Cause-
yeah. Well, hopefully you will get to interview him, but that is so very true. And it oftentimes it's like they try, maybe in the early years they tried to hire people and get them on the vision, but those people's vision, it wasn't their vision, and they didn't know how to get them onto that vision. Or most 99% of great, not great leaders, good leaders, really suck at delegating. And maybe they tried to delegate, but they didn't give any instructions at all. And then they were, then the people get it right, or then they failed to follow up to see how did the people do. And then they're like, oh, see, nobody, it's
Or they didn't
crazy.
give it enough time to develop.
Yes.
They didn't give it
Yes.
another, one of the assessments that I use is Colby, and that really helps people understand how you solve problems. Like, what is your instinctive pattern for solving problems? And if my instinctive pattern is one way and yours is the other way, but you are waiting for me to do it your way, it's
Hmm.
never going to happen. And
Right.
at that point, when they delegate it, they see that you're not doing it my way, and so they
Yes.
don't think it's going to succeed, and they shut it down before giving it an opportunity to
Yes.
actually succeed. It's like,
Exactly. Exactly.
understand, this is how I solve problems. No, this is how I solve problems. Okay, go solve it, bring me
Yes.
the results, and then let's see if it works or not work. And yeah,
That,
sometimes that's when they look at their company as their baby. This is my
oh,
project,
yes.
this is my baby, and I don't want to let my baby turn 18 and go off on its own.
Yes.
It's like,
That is exactly
no,
what they
hold
do.
on to my baby.
I recently, I have a coaching client, incredible guy. He owns all the Iron Tribe Fitnesses in Nashville. But it's been very, very successful.
Mhm,
But one of the things that we are doing is like trying to figure out what is his vision, and then what are his three priorities. If he's going to be at this vision in 5 years, what are the top three things he needs to be doing?
mhm.
And so in doing that, then he had to look at his day to see, well, where am I spending my time? Because if I'm supposed to be doing these three things, but I'm doing these five things, something's got to change.
Right.
And so he used to do all the marketing. And I was like, why are you doing all the marketing? And he was like, he just always felt nobody could do it better. But because of his vision and his top three priorities, he taught somebody else to do it. And guess what? It's being done better. Shocking.
Yeah.
And he's now recouped at least a day and a half every week back into
Of
his schedule.
time. Yeah. Wow. That's
Yes.
huge.
Yes.
Uh,
Exactly.
I
Crazy.
have someone was telling me yesterday, because I'm editing all these videos now. I have all these videos to edit, not just for this podcast. Thank God someone else is doing all the podcast side of it. I've
Oh,
delegated
good.
that out, so they're going to
Good
be
job.
running all that part. But the video itself, for the first few videos, I'm creating this template. So hopefully I can give it over to someone else to do it. But there's some other video that I have to edit. And someone was asking me, why don't you just allow someone else to do that for you? And I said, I would allow someone, but I would have to go through the videos and tell them the timestamps of everything. And I already have the editing software. It'll take me the same time to give them the timestamps as it would be for me to just edit it myself, or something like that. So like, to create this reel I was creating, I'm like, if I had to give it to someone, I would have to go through each video and tell them where to cut for the video to put it together for me. So I was like, that it's like double work anyway. So if I'm already in it, let me just do it. I don't have a problem delegating. If I tell someone my vision, I give them like 10 videos and I say, I want you to cut this clip together, and they do it. Great. I haven't found that person yet. I'm still looking. But I don't want to have to do it. But if I'm going to timestamp everything, if I have to kind of micromanage the situation and tell you exactly every single second that I need in this video, then that doesn't make sense for me. Just to then have somebody else do it, unless
Common
yeah.
excuse.
I know you're going to say it's, but if I have to take the time to do that, what else can I do?
Well,
If
have
I
you
don't
ever
have
heard
someone?
of the 30 times rule?
Uh-huh.
Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't. Tell me.
Okay. Okay. So if it takes, let's say there is a task takes you, I don't know, how long does that take you? An hour, 2 hours to do that task?
Yeah, I'd say probably about 2 hours to pull it to put
Okay.
it together.
All right. So 2 hours. So let's say it took you 30 times that to teach them this.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how it goes? Let's see. If you had to teach them that 30 times, that would be how many hours?
30 times 260.
60 hours. Okay. So if you spent 60 hours doing that, what, a week and a half of,
Right.
if you actually work 40 hours a week.
If it,
Yes.
which no
And what entrepreneur does that?
does, right.
Okay. So a couple of days worth of work.
Yeah.
But now you have now recouped those 2 hours. How many 2 hours are you spending every single week doing these videos?
No. This video was not, I don't do this regularly. So no.
Uh,
That was,
okay.
yeah.
All right. So that's
That was something, yeah, those were some sizzle reel videos. Oh no, if I had to do this every week, no.
okay. Well, that was a bad example.
Yeah, but no, I
really
definitely understand what you're saying, because like I said, I'm putting these together now and creating the template for it, because there's not a lot of cutting in these videos that have to be done. So I can definitely show someone how to pull this together once I have the template, and then listen, I have learned the delegation skill, and I am well happy to delegate some of these things to someone else.
Awesome.
To do. So
awesome. Good for you.
Totally understand. Oh yeah. I totally understand what you're talking about with having to, someone just holding on to it and saying, no, you can't do it as good as.
It's crazy.
No, I definitely.
A 15-minute task. Like, there's some things that takes 15 minutes every morning, and they think it's no big deal, it's just 15 minutes, I'll do it. But 15 minutes a year, let's see if we can do the math.
50 times 365.
Well, 15 minutes times 5 days in the week.
5 days a week, and
times
then
50 weeks.
50 weeks, yeah.
That's 3,750. Let's see, divided by that by 60. That's 62. So that 15-minute task over of working minus 2 weeks of vacation is a week and a half.
That
A
you can
week and a
recoup.
half, 62 out. Yes.
Hmm.
And that's what gets leaders is they have all these 15-minute tasks, this 30-minute task, and they don't hand it over, and then they wonder why they don't have time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that's
Yes.
huge. Time management, time
Mhm.
delegation, learn to delegate some of these things.
Exactly. Very important.
So, we talked about some of the biggest challenges that you have seen with some leaders. What has been the biggest challenge for you in your own business? Like, what was something that you did that you thought was going to be so amazing, but ended up like flopping or failing?
Oh, how many examples do I have? Um,
Let
um,
me count the
I
ways.
guess, yes, I know. I mean, there's so many examples, so little time. Um, I guess the biggest thing that, have to work on till, even today is, leading my team based on their goals, not my goals for them. And then they like their personality type. So like I am very driven. You don't have to tell me what to do. I don't want you to tell
Oh,
me what to
darn it.
do. I don't have to be motivated. Yeah, right. I'm going. And so as a new leader, I was very put out with people who aren't as hardworking as me. I mean, even to this day, I have to be like,
Or at least your
it's
perception of hard
okay.
work. What your perception.
Yes, my percent exactly. That's what I have to remember. Yes, my perception of what is hard work and loving them where they're at and what they are able to accomplish. And a lot of times, what they're able to accomplish is huge because of the relationships that they build or the things that they are doing that I don't realize that they are. And so just always remembering to, what is this person's vision, what's most important to them, and really what motivates them. Because
Hmm.
what motivates them is not what motivates me. And so many leaders, I hear it so often that I mean, I hear this so many times, like, but people, they could just step up and work or they can leave. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you're losing so many great, valuable assets. If everybody's your personality type, what kind of company is that?
You have a lot of cloning going on, everybody trying to do the same thing, and too many chefs in the kitchen. That's what you end up with.
Exactly. Yes, you do. And a lot of things falling through the cracks and no relationship building. And
Right.
yeah, exactly.
So it's so important to understand the strengths of the people around you
Yes.
and understand your own um, kind of blind spots. Because you
Yes.
talked
And
about
mm,
relationship building. Sometimes people that are driven aren't necessarily the best building people, because
most of the
see a
time, no.
goal, we go after that goal, and you either jump on board or
Yes.
you know
Uh-huh.
so
Mhm.
so having someone on the team that is that relationship builder is a vital part of
Yeah.
that team dynamic. And when
Mhm.
you understand who is a relationship builder and you can use that strength most effectively, that's when you start building a really synergistic team. So it's
Yes.
it's one of those things that it's so important, but not something that people really think about, like the time you were
Mhm.
talking about, the time it takes to do things.
Yes.
How do you, after like a big loss or a big um, failure or something like that, how do you recover your own confidence from something like that?
Um, Other than a lot of prayer,
I
I
know. That's like a given.
yeah. Yes. Someone else is in charge and it's not me. Um, we I have affirmations that I say.
Mhm.
And I don't even it doesn't even have to be after a big loss. It can even be after a big win. And then sometimes I'll feel the
Mm.
pressure to have to do that
To
again. And what if I
duplicate
can't
it,
do that
that's
again? What if I can't?
huge.
Yes.
That is
Yes,
huge.
exactly. And
Because I
so
felt
yes, so
that
that's where
too.
yeah,
You've
exactly. What
landed
if
something amazing, or you've just created the most incredible thing. And then it's like, how do I repeat that?
yes, exactly. And so many people have that fear of failure. In fact, John has that book, Failing Forward, which is so priceless. I have so
Fail
many
fast
people
and
read
fail
it.
forward. Yeah.
Yes, fail fast and fail forward, and not be afraid of that. But I have some affirmations that I say every morning that just kind of reminds me of what I love. I've got we talk about confidence anchors. And so a confidence anchor is something that you have accomplished in the past that you can think back on, and you can even relive how that felt, and how the air smelled, and all of that, and just remind yourself of you are capable of greatness, and this isn't the only time, and you might have hopefully several confidence anchors along the way, because every day is a new challenge. If, oh, hey, you learned something new,
Yeah.
don't do that.
I'm getting so many big ahas in this interview. I'm so excited because it
Yeah.
is true about it doesn't have to be a failure. It could be a huge success that you think is just a fluke, because that imposter syndrome starts creeping back in and you start feeling, oh, well, that was just a fluke. I can never repeat that again. And I'm not even going
Mm-hmm.
to try. you know? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
why does
Yeah.
everybody think I'm so great? I'm not. Yeah.
Oh no, exactly. Who are you reading about?
Yeah, right. It's like reading your bio. You start feeling like, who is that person? That wasn't me.
I know.
Yeah. So,
How did that?
yeah, how did that happen? And I think, one of my mentors, David Nagel, talks about being a competent incompetent. A
Yes. The four
competent,
levels of competency.
yeah, that you're achieving something, but you're an unconscious competent. That's what it
Unconsciously
is.
competent.
Blah, blah.
Yes.
Yeah, my brain.
Yeah.
Unconscious competent is that you're achieving things, but you're not stopping to see what the process of that
Yes.
achievement was. And so you feel like you can't repeat that achievement, and
Yeah.
you have to break down the process so oh,
Mm-hmm.
I can do it's repeatable. This is a pattern that I can
Yes.
follow, and it's repeatable. And I think that will
Yeah.
help boost your confidence, because if you continue to be an unconscious competent, then
Mm-hmm.
you look back and say, well, I don't even know how I got here.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's what we usually have to do with leaders, because another reason they don't teach other people what they've done is because what they accomplished, they're unconsciously competent. They just either knew how to do it, or they learned how to do it so long ago. And so a lot of when I'm working with a leader and helping them to develop their leaders, it's helping them step out of unconscious competence into conscious competency. Start really looking at, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Because there's so many little things that you're doing as a leader that you don't realize, that is giving you success. And so
Right.
unless you come back to what you're doing, you can't then teach it, and you also can't hone it.
Mm.
So we do that a lot with top producing salespeople. Bringing them part of their cycle of the sale back. Let's analyze it. Let's tweak it here and there. Practice it a lot, and then send you back off into a little bit better unconscious competence. That
And
makes
yeah,
sense.
conscious competence. You move
Yeah.
from unconscious competence to conscious competence, so that now
Learn to move backward.
that and that's where you can build confidence, because it's a repeatable process. That
Exactly.
every time I do this, I get
Mhm.
results 90% of the time.
Yes.
And so that helps build that audacious confidence, so you can be bold in what you're doing and step out
Yeah.
boldly and achieve great success, because that it works.
Yes.
So I want to ask you, because you have two girls,
Yes.
and what advice would you give them, since you're a leadership coach for all these years? What advice would you give
Mm.
them to be a confident leader as they step out? They're in college now, right? High school, college,
Hmm.
right? In
Well,
college
yeah.
now,
One's in college. One's graduated.
graduating, right? I think we have the same age.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give them as they're stepping out and looking to blaze a trail for themselves on being confident and being a leader?
That that is such a loaded question, because even the advice I think I would give, my daughters as opposed to a boy is different. Did you read, is it Sheryl Sandberg's book, Lean In?
I haven't read it. I've heard about it. I haven't read the
Oh,
book yet.
I want to meet her. But she had such a great point that we live in typically corporate America, mainly male dominated. And when women are actually brought into like a boardroom, a lot of the females would take the outside seats, and a male of the same rank would, happily just sit right down at that table. And so my advice to my daughters is to don't be afraid. You belong at that table. If you were invited into the room, you belong at that table. You have gifts that they don't have. You have skills that they don't have. You have thoughts that they, and do not be afraid of, of speaking your mind, and having someone even try to make you feel bad for speaking your mind.
Hmm.
Like that's, I mean, I think the book Boundaries talks about that. If somebody's going to make you feel bad because of your opinion, like something's wrong with them, not you.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be a wrong opinion, but at least they don't need to like slam you for it. They're like, okay, that's, that's one way to look at it.
Yeah. What about this,
They should,
like crying in the boardroom?
you know,
Listen.
without without giving it away, I work with such an amazing senior partner team. We're three women and four men, and um, what I love about our senior partner team is if the women cry, because that's how it happens. That doesn't happen often. I mean, it hasn't
Right. But
happened.
once in a while, if some,
Nobody's no man in that room thinks anything less of women, because usually if a woman is crying in a boardroom, it's because they feel so passionately about something, and that's how we express it.
yeah.
And men, they don't get it, because I mean, if a woman's crying, they want to
Something's
they want
wrong.
to
What
fix
do we
something.
do? What do we do?
Yes, yes, yeah. And so I pray that every woman could be in that kind of situation.
That is
Unfortunately,
beautiful.
that's not a normal boardroom.
Yeah, but that's beautiful to have the opportunity to express yourself so passionately. And if tears come, allow them to come and not feel judged or ridiculed for it. But women
Yeah,
lead
don't feel
and
like you.
women, yeah, women approach things in a very different way than men do.
Mhm.
And it's up to all of us, men and women, to find that common ground where we can be empathetic and love and work together and not
Mhm.
judge one another for our
Yeah,
differences.
yeah. Yeah, but it's still, I mean, I can't imagine what it'd be like in a corporate America. Because even to my own leader over the years, I've said stuff and he would be like, Kitty, you really shouldn't have said that. And I'm like, if I was a man, would you have said that to me?
Hmm.
Like, and luckily we have that kind of relationship that I
Right.
can put it right back at him. But I'm sure there's so women in corporate America that they can't say the same thing a man would say, and it'd be held of the same esteem. But I think
Yeah.
that's no reason to stop.
Yeah. And so we need to be able to push those boundaries to
Mhm.
say what's on our mind and even bring that up and say if I were a man saying it, would the reaction be the same? So
Exactly.
women have that power now to step up, or should at least
Mhm.
empower themselves to step up and speak out
They
when they
should.
need to.
They should.
When they need
And
to.
it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. You don't want to say it in a divisive, bitchy,
Right, exactly.
um, jaded way, but in a isn't this true kind of way. And
Open up our minds
we're
and
having
let's
a
have a
conversation
dialogue. Let's share. you
here.
know uh
Yes.
wouldn't it would be a much different and much greater place if that could start sweeping across corporate America,
If
and not just in America but across the globe,
yeah.
because to have women not just in a place of power and leadership as um, well, look how many women we have here, but really giving that
Yeah.
voice. that,
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, not a
And
token.
I get it. But I also get it though. There's not a lot of women in leadership because, I mean, one of the reasons is a majority of our life we're choosing our kids or travel, because usually moving up in the ranks means a lot of travel.
Hmm.
And so I get it. A lot of times we just haven't. I didn't intentionally pursue leadership until my kids were older.
Right.
Um, and then in the meantime, it's we kind of, I guess, we fall behind, and then we think, oh, there's not enough women in leadership, but part of it is on us. But I would never, I wouldn't do it any different way. I'm very happy for the years that I stayed in town while working
Yeah.
and being there for my kids.
Be there for your kids.
Um,
Yeah. I have a similar thing.
yeah,
Before I
mm,
started really getting deeper into my business, I was a stay-at-home mom for many, many years with
yeah,
my children, and I appreciate it. That was a choice that I was able to make, and I was blessed to be able to make that choice. Um,
yeah,
what just struck me too, and I know we can go on and on and on about this, but I know we have a time limit. So that as we ventured into this direction, I just wanted to mention
yeah,
that, there are some industries where it's still really, really tough for women to be in leadership. I was speaking to a friend of mine who is in the fashion industry. She left kind of that corporate world to start off on her own, but she remembered I think this was like the straw that broke her, and she said she had to get out, was that there was this woman who was working late, like she was working late. It was close to 11 o'clock at night, and she had missed a train to go home at night. And she was crying because she said she missed, it was 9 o'clock. Yeah. She said she missed the 9 o'clock train. The next train isn't until, like 10:30 or something. She'll get home after 11. She hasn't seen her son go to bed or seen him in the morning. So she hasn't seen him in several months because she leaves early before he gets up and she gets home late. And she was crying that she was missing him
mm,
again. And this was a woman, she said, like 3 weeks after giving birth, she had to be on a plane to go somewhere else to do some
mm,
stuff because otherwise her job, because in fashion, people are just waiting in the wings to take your job. So she was saying, I don't want to be in that position when I have a child. I have to make that choice, my child or my job. And
mhm,
in a lot of ways, it's just not fair to make women have to make that choice. Like your job is on the line if you can't travel and
yeah,
do all this stuff that you were doing before you had children.
right,
So
yeah.
because they don't make men make those decisions. Men don't
No,
have to make those decisions.
no, they don't. It always falls on the mom. Always.
Yeah.
Even if it's a stay-at-home dad, like, it still falls on the mom.
It still falls on the mom. Yeah. So,
Um, which
um,
I don't. I mean, I don't begrudge. I mean, I've been able to, accomplish a lot after, a little bit while they were kids, and a lot after, they were a little bit older. I think there's something very, very special about being there for our kids, and why do we feel we have to accomplish something outside the home, and what we accomplished in the home wasn't um,
valuable.
valued. I mean, my girls and your children, very successful, very strong. One of my daughters, an engineer, and she called me up because she was like, okay, this is the offer, and how am I gonna, get more, and what do I need to ask for, and how do I need to ask? And she went in there and she negotiated that offer, and then my youngest is, captain of her soccer team, and in charge of the social media marketing for her sorority, and they're good kids, and so there's also power in
Knowing
not
that you
feeling
had that
bad.
influence. Hmm.
What after all, if your kids turn out neglected and looking for attention, and
But then you have a lot of guilt too, in that situation as a woman. You feel like you had to make the choice, and if you make the choice of your job, then you have a lot of
yeah,
guilt over your children, and if you make the choice to be with your children, you have a lot of guilt over your job, and it's not a great place to be. That's not
But
good.
also, but like I also, worked from home. And that's one blessing about COVID is working from home is going to be so much more acceptable for moms, which I love.
Yeah.
But does it have to be either or? Can it be either and? There's a lot of moms who have become very successful starting a home-based business. And I was when my daughters were little, I used to love to read to them at night. I hated when they fell asleep. When they got to the chapter
Yeah.
books, like, and so um, I was reading Little House on the Prairie to them, and it hit me that Ma never played with Laura and her sister ever. Like
No.
Ma and Pa were home all day, but Ma and Pa were working sun up to sunset, and Laura and her sisters and Mary and all them, they had to work as well. And I think once or twice, Ma made them a doll. Like, and so, and those turned out really well. And so it hit, I'm reading this to my daughters, like, because also stay-at-home moms who'd make me feel bad because I was a work at home mom. But I'm like, I'm just Ma Ingalls, right?
Yeah.
I'm there for them, but I'm also running a
Doing the
business here.
chores, running my business, and
Yes,
doing all the
and
stuff.
running a
Yeah.
business, and I'm not a hover mother, and my kids are very independent. So
Yeah,
I don't.
mine too. I'm not a hover mother either. So I told you at the beginning of this, we have a lot of stuff in common.
Yes, I know.
So I am
Could
so
talk forever.
thankful. I'm so grateful that you said yes when I asked if you would be on this podcast. I love this conversation with you, and I'm sure we'll have more conversations because I think we've kind of scratched the surface on women in leadership, and I would love to do another episode with you to really dive into women in leadership if you're open to that.
Yeah. I would love to. I would love to. I just love talking to you. And
Thank you.
if you ever come to Nashville,
Yeah, if I'm ever in Nashville, I will definitely call you
yeah,
up. So thank you so
exactly.
much, Kitty, for being on the show. And guys, if you look in the show notes, how to contact Kitty will be there in the show notes below this post as well. So make sure you reach out to her for all your leadership, any leadership, especially around sales leadership, team building that you need in your sales team. Please, please, please reach out to Kitty. She is a wealth of knowledge. She's been selling since she's been in college, so she knows the sales business inside and out. And please reach out to her. Thank you so much, Kitty, for being on the show. Audacious confidence is the unshakable belief in yourself that's so brave and so bold that you step into what's possible for yourself, despite your feelings, fears, or failures. I encourage you to follow, subscribe, like, and share this out with your friends. To learn more about our guests, check out some additional episodes. Go to aliciacoury.com/leading with audacious confidence. Until next time, this is Alicia Coury saying, live your life bold, brave, and step out with audacious confidence. Till next time.